Hello. Throughout my years in Alphabiotics, I've found that people kind of fall into three categories when they find Alphabiotics. We have the people who come for physical pain, having to do with body structure, back pain. A lot of times those people are referred because of family members and friends who have received pain relief from the work. Then there's the other group that comes for stress, for emotional issues, anxiety, psychological things. And then there's the other group who comes for the holistic care, the entire system being aided in this Alphabiotics. And that is really where we want to come from and understand that you're treating the entire system. We're not really treating it either. You're addressing the well-being of the entire system. It all starts with the brain. And your brain has two ways of functioning, like my beautiful picture here. Let's see, it's hard to do. I'll flip my screen. Oh, it won't let me flip my screen. I don't know how to use this thing. But anyways, well, this is my balanced guy. And you're hardwired for one of two things: either balance, healing, growing, progressing, balanced energy and blood flow in all parts of the body, but it all starts in the brain. You have good communication between both hemispheres and full brain function, access to all levels of the brain. That's sending proper energy to both sides of the body. It's the imbalance in the body that causes the physical pain that people come for a lot of times, and that's because of this. If you are in defense, you have no other way of being other than out of physical balance, because defense shifts you into your dominant areas and it makes changes within the body that causes you to prepare for a life or death situation. It drops you into a low level of brain function into your dominant hemisphere because you want your strong side forward and you want everything, or the body wants everything kind of shifted into those dominant muscles, that dominant side of the body. So you only have a certain amount of energy to deal with. This causes the subdominant side to give up its strength, give up its energy, so everything can localize into the dominant hemisphere and drop in and cause that tension in the muscles. That tension in the muscles versus the weakness in the muscles causes the bones to be pulled out of balance. Bones aren't defective. Sometimes people are born with short limbs, short bones. There may be, those are called anatomical defects. I hate to call them defects because everybody's beautiful. But that's really the only reason why the body would be completely out of balance without the brain being stuck in defense. So now when you're in defense, you're localized in a little area that's geared for defense, so that affects the psyche. There's no question if the body's out of balance, if the brain is locked in a state of defense. And so that comes before the imbalance in the body. But a lot of times all we look at is the physical form, and that's what we try to address. However, there's an entire system, there's a reason for the imbalance in the physical form. So, pushing things back into place, it doesn't really address the entire situation. You have to reset the brain and bring it back into balance, so then that balance can fall within the body. We regain a lot of energy and blood flow from the digestive and reproductive organs when we are in balance, because when we're in defense, reproduction and digestion isn't really the main priority. So that kind of explains a lot of people's issues: digestion, reproduction. Things like Viagra. There's irritable bowel syndrome, all sorts of things. There's all sorts of physical things that take place as we stay in a state of defense, we begin to break down. So then we start having the issues that are commonly treated. That again, that's where Alphabiotics takes in the entire system and addresses everything. The heart, when you're in defense, your heart is working extra hard to push blood out into the arms and legs for that fighting or running. So, you know, that taxes the blood pressure. Your lungs, you start breathing really short and shallow. And that's why addressing balance in the body and balance in the brain, more like it, that really helps things like asthma, breathing issues, because when you're in defense, those lungs are just working really short and shallow, quick breaths, ready for this fighting or running, prepared, like, I'm shaking my camera. But when you're in balance, you are able to get deep breaths, the lungs open wide. You breathe from your belly like a baby, like you're supposed to. You breathe from the diaphragm. It's good. So, I kind of started this video to explain the emotional issues too, and how, you know, it's very common for us to hear things about chemical imbalances in brains and all of these psychological issues and these people shooting people in the way the world is. Well, it's very simple. All of it is so simple. It's because they're locked in one little part of the brain. That's why it helps people with anxiety. When you can come out of that one little portion of the brain that's geared for fighting or running, you're forever on guard. There's not a question if you're there, if your body's out of balance. The question of you being stuck in that one little spot is, how do you deal with your life and being stuck in that one spot? We have depressed people. We have, you know, anxious people, hostile people, people who are just out of their minds, murderous. Well, that's kind of a stress response, and just the inability to stay in that state of being during your normal days. You know, that's okay for a short amount of time to go in that defense state, but you need to come out of it. If we don't come out of it, we start to break down. And psychologically, it's one of the biggest factors in breaking down. So it's really simple. It's extremely simple. But you can't come to Alphabiotics for just one thing and not have the entire system addressed, your entire state of being. Once that happens, then you're able to come into alignment with who you truly are. If you're in defense, that's not who you really are. And with our world, we kind of live that way constantly. So I just hope that everybody takes into consideration the full spectrum of what you get with Alphabiotics. Thank you.